Hi, and welcome to another interview. Today, I've got the fantastic Caitlin Weeks, who you might know as Grassfed Girl, and I'm going to ask her the question I ask every single guest. Hey, Caitlin, why did you become carnivore?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So I became carnivore. It was really a long journey, but really it was to help my Hashimoto's. I was a chubby kid. My parents took me to Weight Watchers at 6 years old. Then I experimented. They were, it was the best. They were doing it too. It wasn't like they were shaming me or something. They were trying to lose weight and they took me and it wasn't the worst. I think I learned some good things there. Like they have some good lessons, like kind of planning out your meals and they called it storyboarding. So you plan out your meals ahead of time so that and if if you're going to go to a party, you have something that you can eat or you bring it or you have it in your purse or, it's just like planning ahead to be successful. And that was a good lesson. And then, they did talk a little bit about protein and you kind of learned that your protein is the only thing that's going to help you meet like your Weight Watchers goals, because otherwise you're just going to be starving and you're going to be eating. Well, that's what I realized. I don't know if they really taught that, but I realized the only way I was going to get through the day is either fill up on vegetables or like lean meat. And so over the years, I kind of did that and I kept doing it more and more and more. And then I thought I had figured it all out. After college, in college, I really let myself go. And I was, drinking beer and eating Taco Bell and all that. And then I gained up to 240 pounds. And then I was like, I really have to do something. So I got back on my Weight Watchers, this time as an adult, doing it on my own, not having my parents tell me. And I did like completely fat-free. I was doing the butter sprays with the fat-free, ingredients, and then the, canola oil but it was a spray. So it was like you got like 2 squirts for the serving, and then like huge lean chicken breasts, or I would eat beans and just, vegetables microwaved in the bag. And it's just super, super lean. And it was so gross. And I was always hungry. I mean, I was constantly thinking about food, but I lost 90 pounds. So I was like 150. I was feeling really good. And I thought, I've figured this all out. And I was so interested. Then I got like super interested in health and fitness. And like, I'm from the South. It's all biscuits and gravy and cornbread and all that and mac and cheese. So I was like young and I was like, I'm going to move to California where everyone's healthy. Well, that's what I thought, in my head. And then I moved to California. I became a personal trainer because I was, I'd lost weight. I want to share everyone, what I learned. And then so I continued on kind of the really low fat dieting. Then I got into more like the 5-6 meals a day thing with the heavy protein, but super lean. And you had to eat 5 or 6 meals a day or you were starving, So it's still the same problem. I was never satisfied. And I thought I had like a personality problem or, something. I just thought, well, why am I feeling like this? And everybody else is eating granola and, frosted mini wheats and they're fine, that's what I thought, and just like, I must just have I don't know, a brain problem or something. And then, I finally kind of came to Jesus moment where I got sick and I thought all the Diet Coke and everything caught up with me. And, I started not being able to recover. That was my first sign. I couldn't recover from exercise. So I was exercising really hard. Like I was running half marathons. I was strength training because, I was a personal trainer. I was just trying to keep up that image that I looked good but I was falling apart inside. And one time I remember the most was I did some bicep curls and my elbows it took like 2 weeks to recover. And I was like, this is weird. Like I shouldn't not be able to bend my elbows, especially my right elbow, for like 2 weeks after a 10-pound dumbbell, it wasn't anything extreme. And I was just like, something's weird with this. And then the fatigue started. It was just, I couldn't even stand up. I had to hold on to the wall while I was talking to my clients. And you know how that doesn't look too good if you have to sit down while you're training people, or you have to hold the wall or something, or you could sit on a ball, I guess, and look kind of normal. But you have to like act like you have energy. And I had no energy. Like the moment I got home from my clients, I would flop into the bed and sleep. I would drink a whole pot of coffee just to get to the gym in the morning for like the 6 a.m. people. And then I would barely make it through the morning people. Then I'd sleep all afternoon and then do the night people. And I was dragging, like, it was so horrible. I didn't know what was happening because I'd never really been unhealthy. I'd always been pretty good, never really had any health problems. So I just didn't know what was happening to me. Then the digestive problems started to go. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, I couldn't go to the bathroom, super constipated, and I was like, what is happening to me? Everything is falling apart. So I was getting kind of nervous. And then of course you go to the doctor and they say, oh, you're just getting older. I was like 31 or something. It was like, okay, this isn't, I don't know if I believe you, because I was doing everything right. I was exercising, I was eating the standard American low-fat diet. And I just was like dumbfounded that I was having all these strange symptoms. Every food started to give me rashes, and I was like, what is happening? And then I was lucky. There was actually a naturopathic doctor who had her office. This was all in San Francisco, by the way. So there was a lot of holistic people around. And I told her that I wasn't feeling good. And she said, well, I found a list of thyroid tests to get. So I took him to my doctor, the regular doctor that I had. Then I was able to take it to her as a naturopathic doctor. The first doctor had dismissed me. Then I took it to the naturopathic doctor, and she looked at it, and within 30 seconds, she said, you have, a thyroid problem. And I said, oh, well, that's good, I guess, at least I found something. And within 2 weeks, she gave me the natural desiccated thyroid, which is the like armor. It's like it's made out of animal thyroid. And within 2 weeks, I felt like a new person. It was amazing. Like, I was still it wasn't cured or anything, but the energy came back. And then I started to feel like I could actually maybe think about something else, or investigate why. And I wasn't needing to sleep all the time. I was, up to sleeping 18 hours a day. It's ridiculous. Like, so I was so into nutrition all through this time. Like, I would talk to my clients just about what they ate. I didn't really even care about the exercise. I was always super fascinated about the nutrition, I think, because of what had happened to me and my background of growing up in an overweight family and all that. So then I started going to nutrition school, and my health was just kind of all over the place, still trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And they got me into the first year was kind of negative because it really reinforced like the plant-based diets. And so it kind of like pushed me into that tofu and fake meats and all that. So I wasn't really healing as well as I had hoped. I was going gluten-free, so that was one good thing. But I wasn't really progressing as much because they kept saying, well, you're saving the earth, you're saving the animals, whatever. And I was like, what about me? And then the second year was actually a turning point because they started teaching us about Weston A. Price. And I was like, wow, this makes so much more sense. And I met this girl who ran like the Weston A. Price chapter in our city. And I was like, oh, raw milk. And I started going to like, kombucha workshops and, fermentation workshops. And then I met a girl named Diane Sanfilippo who was also in my nutrition school, and she wrote the book, The Practical Paleo, which is like the best-selling paleo book of all time. And she was teaching me about paleo, and I was like, okay, like this is all making a lot more sense, and I'm starting to feel better. But I was still kind of binging out on like almond butter and that kind of crap, and then the paleo treats and the honey and stuff. But I kind of quickly realized I couldn't do all that, the treats and stuff, and I couldn't handle a sweet potato. A sweet potato was just I want 10 sweet potatoes, so I realized quickly that I kind of needed to go low carb, and I kind of gravitated towards that community. And I was getting better slowly, and I was feeling better, but I still struggled. This is probably, a 10-year story since the first time I got sick, and then like to now. So I got into keto and low carb and all that, but I was still eating a lot of keto treats, and I thought I could handle that. But I was eating a ton of vegetables because that, it's back in the days when they were telling you like low protein, or else your protein was going to turn to sugar and all that. And I was just like, well, so I'd eat like a 4-ounce burger, and then I would still be starving. So I'd have like a pound of broccoli with butter all over it. But then I still had terrible digestive symptoms from all that. And then I was eating like, a half a thing of peanut butter because I was still hungry. And then, so it took me a while to figure out that, none of that was helping. And then I had a friend, her name's Nourish Caveman. She said, I think you should really try carnivore because you have all these digestive problems, and, you're just not getting better. I said, well, I don't want to do that. And then she said, well, just give it a month, like 30 days. So I had to think about it for like 3 months. And I like watched videos and stuff. And then all of a sudden I started it. And then within a month, I lost like 10 pounds. And I started like feeling just so much better. The bloating went away in 24 hours of not eating all those vegetables, and I was like, I had been so bloated. Like I would get to where my rings would like, like I would get like visible swelling all around my hands, and it was like up and down, almost like the tides or something. And so I was just like, this is amazing. I feel really good, and I'm not hungry. Like my blood sugar regulation had gotten better by doing keto and paleo, and like eating more of a traditional diet or whatever. But then carnivore was where I felt the best, and like the biggest breakthrough, and the fastest, like the fastest that I felt better. And so I was like, there's something to this. And that's where, I am kind of now. But then something else happened the last 2 years. I had a baby. So that I was mostly carnivore during my pregnancy. I had a little bit of fruit, and I ate a little more high carb, like goat yogurt and, raw milk and stuff like that while I was pregnant, because the cravings were just super intense. But I mean, I really believe in, nutrient density and all that, making your baby strong and healthy and everything. So I was not going to start eating, I don't know, flax seeds or something. Like I was going to eat like as much as I could that was, carnivore, and I had a meat aversion a little bit, but I could still eat chicken or fish or shellfish or whatever. I mean, I just didn't want to like make ground beef or beef for a little while, like the first 12 weeks, but then that went away. And and I've just been kind of struggling since then to just get back on track. Just making a baby, and then I had a C-section. So I had a lot of recovery after that. And it just still feels like yesterday. I mean, I haven't really, gotten back to where I was like when I first started carnivore, where I was feeling just so good. And also my baby was breastfeeding. So 2 years of breastfeeding kind of takes it out of you too. Because when you're breastfeeding, your body is, putting all of that first. So doing your own bodily processes are like secondary. The baby comes first through breastfeeding, and of course through while you're carrying the baby, it's kind of the same. You're still in this big postpartum. So he's still nursing, and we're hopefully like, we've gotten it down to just nighttime now. And so we're getting there, and I'm getting my sleep better and better. Like last night he slept all night, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like he didn't move. I didn't move. Like to sleep 8 hours is like a miracle. So anyway, that kind of brings you up to speed.
Wow. Wow. What a great answer. And there's a lot of parallels in our life, actually. The personal trainer and the spraying the veg, the vegetable oil. I did all that. So that, yes, that was interesting. So one thing that just jumped out at, well, there's two things really, but one in particular was when someone suggested carnivore, you immediately just did the knee-jerk reaction. Well, I don't want to do that. Why didn't you want to do that?
Well, I think I felt like at that point, my diet was pretty limited. Like it was just like broccoli, cauliflower, meat, and dark chocolate. And I was just like, I've given up so much, and I just don't feel like I can give up anymore. But I didn't realize what I was getting. You just think about what you're giving up. But now, like, I don't even crave chocolate. I could take a few bites of vegetables. I can take it or leave it. Like before, I was binging on vegetables just to fill up my stomach. I mean, I like them, but they're not any good unless you have a ton of butter on them, So it's like, and I was just eating them because I thought they were good for me, But now if I know that I can eat as much meat as I want, and then like, why do I want to waste time with vegetables? And actually vegetables are super expensive. Like if you put it, pound for pound or ounce for ounce or gram for gram, whatever, you see that like broccoli is just as expensive as like a ribeye steak, if you're putting it up there. I mean, it's crazy. Like I went to buy, my sister wanted me to bring a vegetable tray the other day, and I spent like $20 to make a vegetable tray. And I was like, this is annoying, like I would rather spend those $20 on steak or ground beef or, something meaty. So
Yeah.
anyway, when you realize you don't really need them, you're just like, well, why am I wasting my money on this?
Yeah. And I mean, $20, and you're probably not getting the same amount of protein, certainly not getting the same amount of nutrients. It's not even pound for pound. So yeah, the other question, maybe I shouldn't ask this, but you said you went with your parents to Weight Watchers. I don't know if they're still around, your parents, but did they ever change their way of eating? Did they manage to get sort of on the straight and narrow with their weight?
Well, my dad is really the one who is my stepmom and my mom. They're just kind of like they're just a little chubby. They're not like obese, but my father is the one who really struggles. He had gastric bypass in 2005, and he was 400 pounds before his gastric bypass, and he lost down to about 250. And then he's got, gained and lost so many times. And, the gastric bypass never really, it worked for a while, but then it, came back. And then, I got him on carnivore. He lost about 65 pounds, but then he gained it back. So he's the one that's kind of like struggled the most with his weight and stuff. And he is still around. He's 75 now. So, I don't know. He's looking into now the Ozempic or whatever, the Mounjaro, which I mean, I think for somebody like him, like, I mean, there's been negative things, but maybe that'll help him. I mean, I just want him to have the best years that he has left, so if it gives him a little more time, then great, so, I mean, I hope he gets approved for it or whatever. So
yeah, good. And I noticed you said that, at 31, your thyroid was packing up, and you went on to the Armour. Is that still the case? Are you still taking Armour?
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I try to go off of it, it's just, and especially during, pregnancy, you don't want to fool around with going off of it, because your baby takes your own thyroid hormone. So he'll take all of your thyroid hormone and you'll have nothing. And I mean, you just don't want you don't want to make any risks where your baby is struggling to get enough thyroid hormone. So I actually increased it when I was pregnant. But the good news is that actually my antibodies, which were 600 when I was first sick, so that shows you I had a really big attack going on. That's called I had the TPO antibodies. Some people have the TG antibodies.
TG, yeah, thyroid
But
globulin, yes.
yeah, but I had the TPO. I never had the other kind. So then now they're 23. So that is considered remission by most doctors. Usually it's under 30. They were 29 at like maybe a year ago. And then I just went back this week and they were 23. So whatever I'm doing is something's right, working right. I was shocked because I thought I even had done like an iodine experiment where I did 3 months of iodine, 2 drops of Lugol's a day. And because a lot of people say that's going to spike your antibodies. And I wanted to just see, and I knew I was going to the doctor kind of at the end of that time. So, and it didn't, it was 23 rather than 29. So I was like, well, I guess maybe I should be taking iodine. I don't know. I didn't feel any different, but my antibodies continued to go down. So that's pretty crazy. And then, yeah, the doctor it was so funny because I have a holistic doctor now. It's a nurse practitioner, which has here in the States, those have most of the same rights as a doctor. And I like them better because usually they're women and they listen a little better and they understand, things, women's issues and stuff. And she was just, but I don't think she even knows like I'm fully carnivore. She knows I'm kind of like low carb and stuff. Cause she's not my regular person out on maternity leave because she has 5 kids. But anyway, this person is filling in for her, but they both are pretty similar in their mindset. So she said, do you take a B12 supplement? And I was like, what? She's like, I've never seen like B12 this high. And I was like, yeah, I take a steak a day. And then she's like, well, your cholesterol is kind of high, but it's because of your HDL. Your HDL is so high. She's like, do you take fish oil? And I was like, no. She's like, do you eat a lot of fish? I was like, no. I like fish, but I don't crave it. And I just kind of follow what I crave, and my husband eats a lot of fish. And so like when he's eating it, I will eat it too, but I don't eat it a lot, like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. But it's not like something I focus on. And, it was just so funny. And she's just like, I've never seen like this kind of, it's so high. And so she wasn't concerned about like my cholesterol because my HDL was so high. And I was like, good, because if you say one more word, I might flip this table, if I hear cholesterol one more time, I might lose it because I just think it's so stupid.
I think that's, I'm a phlebotomist, so I've seen thousands of bloods, and you're very right there. Some people do with the iodine actually see their TPO antibodies go up, but that's on a case-by-case basis. So it does happen to some people. And I've coached 2 people in the last 3 years where that has happened slightly, but everything else has been fine. So I think sometimes people get bogged down on the numbers. It's good to hear actually that there's somebody in your medical sphere there actually realizing that HDL is important, not just LDL. So that was really good to hear as well. And yeah, going from 600 to, what did you say, 32?
23. This
23. Oh, yeah, 32, 23. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. So obviously you're doing the right thing because those antibodies are going down so dramatically. So how long have you actually been carnivore?
I started October 2018, October 1st. So I guess this, fall will be 5 years that I've been, I'm not like, I haven't been like, if I go on a trip, I might have a bite of things, here and there. I mean, I just don't think that's realistic to say I'm never going to have a bite of something good or, have something when you're on a trip. I love to travel, and like my husband's actually a chef, and he's we're foodies, I mean, I wrote a cookbook in 2014. It's called Mediterranean Paleo Cooking. So it's all about kind of the dishes you would find around the Mediterranean region. So, I mean, we're just, to me, traveling, I'm going to focus on getting, seafood and meat and everything and the different places, but I'm not going to freak out if there's like a sauce on something or, and I try to stay gluten-free as much as possible, because I do think that's helped my thyroid, not flare up and stuff. But, I'm not going to give the person a third degree if the waiter or something. Like, I just want to enjoy my life. And, but when I come back, I always end up feeling like crap. And then I go, back. Like this month, for example, I'm doing a all beef month. So, because I was just feeling really like blah. And so I was like, I'm going to do May 1st. I start all beef. So it's been 2 weeks. And I'm feeling really good. Like a lot of the bloating and just that puffiness, has gone down. So, I mean, I still drink coffee and tea. I allow myself coffee, tea, and electrolytes. So the flavored electrolytes. So that's like my dessert. My fun thing I look forward to is like black coffee, tea, or electrolytes. And sometimes I mix like the electrolytes in my tea, like make like a raspberry tea or something like that. That's like my thing that, gets me through the day without like, having dessert or something. So,
Yes.
and the black coffee and tea, I just like, I can't give that up.
No, and I'm very similar to you. I'm not that zero tolerance sort of guy. If someone said to me, I went to Italy and there was someone making fresh pasta and it was handmade, and I was in Italy, I was in Tuscany, and it was, it's the traditional dish, and I had some, I'd be like, great, yeah, fill your boots. But the thing is, I think it's also that informed consent. You eat something knowing it could possibly be problematic, whereas in your past, same as in my past, we both thought we were doing the right things. We thought we were being healthy. And then when things start going wrong, you don't think it's a diet. I mean, you just don't think it's going to be fruit and veg or, skim milk or whatever, freshly squeezed orange juice. You just don't think that. And then when you arrive, as we both have as carnivore, I'm 4 years into it, you're 5 years into it, you can do what you just said. Well, I might go off piste a bit and have a bit of this, but I might pay for it, and then I'll have to have a month of beef only to get back. And I think that's the thing. You have to live your life, but also you are making decisions not based on what the media are telling you, but on actual knowledge, real experience. And you said food was giving you rashes and bloating, digestive problems. And of course, when you go carnivore, a lot of that changes and you lose the weight. It's a great way to live, actually. But there are some foods that people still want to go back to, and I understand that as well. But the great thing I think I found from your Instagram is you've had thyroid problems, but now you want to help other people heal from their Hashimoto's. So could you speak how that came about?
Well, I'm working on an online course about Hashimoto's. So I'm hoping but I want to incorporate carnivore into it. So I'm hoping to get that out, within a few months. And, and I just try to gear my information towards people with Hashimoto's or thyroid problems, and with, mostly women, because we're the ones who mostly have that. And, I think also, the stress and the type A personalities and that kind of stuff. So it's like realizing you can't do it all, and you have to learn how to manage and do more downtime and that kind of thing. And also taking out all those toxins, from your home and from your personal care is really important. I think a lot of people just get so focused on the diet, and they forget that they're slathering 87 chemicals on their body, and they're spraying all this crap in their homes. And And that we have like a toxic load, and it's like a bucket. And when the bucket overflows, and that's kind of what was happening to me when I was first getting sick, it's like, okay, you have the nutrient poor diet, you have, cheap, drugstore cosmetics, you have perfumes and cheapo, secret deodorant, and you are just putting as much crap in your body, on your body, around your body. You're burning the candle at both ends. And it's just like this, breaking point. And, imagine the bucket, and the bucket's just full, and it just starts tipping over, and your system is just overloaded. And so I just want to, gear my information towards people who are kind of like me, doing everything, trying to do everything, and then just falling apart,
And that's under the remit of non-toxic living. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, it's all important. It's not just one thing. And, now that we're seeing all this stuff about getting outside and getting your sunlight, and, I'm doing all that too. I take my kid outside in the morning and then in the evening, and, we're doing all the things in the grass, and we go swimming, and, especially this time of year, we love it.
So just some practicalities. Obviously, during your pregnancy, things were different, but before your pregnancy, was you 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day? What was you doing?
I think because I have kind of a messed up eating background, like I really didn't want to get into worrying about, the biggest thing I loved about carnivore was just like, eat meat and don't worry about anything else, eat your animal products and don't worry about anything else. Cause I had done so much tracking and counting and all that mess that I was just like, I cannot do that. And if I have to do that, I'm out, So I just kind of go with it. Like I might eat some scrambled eggs in the morning just because like it gives you more time. You don't want to get out and then be busy, and then you're just starving, and then you're like, oh, I have to spend $50 to get full, So it just gives you a little bit of a bridge to where you can get, and then you can eat like a big meal at like 10 or so. Is my favorite thing is to eat like a big steak about 10 or 11. And then I'll just usually eat with my husband or and my kid, like they like to eat about, well, sometimes my baby, I have to feed him early, like 5:30. And then my husband can eat like at 7. So sometimes I'll just feed the baby early, and he's big into, he loves hamburgers, and I just give him the meat. He doesn't even know that like it has a bun, he's almost 3, and he just thinks like, sometimes I'll stick 2 little patties together with a piece of cheese, and he just eats it like that. Like he doesn't know that you don't get a bun with it. And then he loves scrambled eggs. So like basically he grew up just eating scrambled eggs and butter, like his whole first year or 2 eating that. Because it's just like the easiest thing and the best thing for him, I think. So with me, I just eat, I guess it would be more of a too mad, so I would eat but I like a little bit of a smaller dinner. So I like to eat a bigger meal earlier, like around 10 or 11. Like now, it's time to eat. And then in the US anyway, and then like at 5 or 6, 7, I might eat again, but I could always eat something smaller. Like my husband loves fish or chicken or something, so we could eat that maybe or chicken wings or something like that. But right now, since I'm doing the all beef, like last night I didn't want to cook. Like it was really hot yesterday. It was like 91 degrees. So I had a summer sausage in the fridge, and that sounded good because it was cold, and it was like a 1 pound summer sausage. So I just cut that up and I just ate that at like 3 o'clock. And then I wasn't hungry at night, so I just didn't eat again. And right now I have some jerky going I found if I put it in this closet and I plug it in, then I forget about it. And then I'm like, okay, now it's ready like 2 days later, because you have to dehydrate it a long time. And like, sometimes I would just like eat it all before it like really got done. And then it wasn't even really good yet, you know?
Yeah. And so I suppose this is a really logical question then. How did your eating change when you became pregnant? Did you just simply eat more?
I mean, it didn't change much. It's just like I gave myself permission to eat a little bit of fruit, because just the cravings became unbearable. So it really didn't change much, except I ate the fruit sometimes, because it was summertime when I was like towards the end. He was born in September, so the whole summer was like the last 3 months of so I just was like, if it's okay. I was like gonna eat low toxin, so I was like, I'll eat some strawberries, or if I want this. That was really like, and then I let myself have, like I said, the goat yogurt, because I do a little bit better with goat rather than regular cow's milk. So, and that has carbs. So it's just kind of like, it's okay if I'm not in ketosis. I just want to have like the really nutrient dense foods. And I was like, it's okay if I have a little bit of fruit. But then, once I had him, the cravings went back down, once he was out.
And you stopped the fruit completely, did you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about it now. It was just like really hard during the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And
Was it cravings for fruit
it was sugar,
explicitly?
just cravings for sugar.
Yeah, right. Okay. So
So I was trying to pick the best, healthiest option,
yeah, the best of the worst. That
Yeah.
makes total sense. And you sound like your husband is very supportive. And he's a chef. I mean, so is there any plans for bringing out like a carnivore recipe book, or have you already done that?
Well, I have an ebook. It's called the Carnivore 30 Challenge. I wrote it, but my husband taught me how to cook. I mean, literally, when he met me, I was like microwaving, lean cuisines. So now I can cook really, really well, and he taught me everything. So he has had a big influence on me, and I have 26 recipes in that book. And it's like the basics of the things I think you need to know to survive as a carnivore, like how to make ghee and how to make bone broth and how to make chicken wings and like a reverse sear, and just these basic, like how to make a good steak, and have like a T-bone and like different methods. Also, like, so I'll give you like 3 different ways. So if you have a crock pot or an instant pot, or, an air fryer, there's lots of different ideas for people.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've recently noticed, because we had an air fryer and then we bought a Ninja sort of combo air fryer and grill. And for instance, chicken thighs with skin on in the Ninja is a completely different experience to just the air fryer. And if I put burgers in the air fryer, it's not as nice as in a frying pan. So I think that's really good. And for people that are interested in your book, I'll put links in the description. All of Caitlin's links will be in the description, so you don't have to get a piece of paper, and we don't have to listen to Caitlin telling us, spelling out the address, which is it's really good. And I do like your internet presence, basically social media. It's very interesting. So I've got to ask you a couple of final questions. Why are you called the Grass-Fed Girl?
Well, I think, for many years I was doing paleo, like I told you, and I think because I had come kind of from that idea, like that killing animals is bad and animals are bad for the environment. It was a big breakthrough for me to find grass-fed beef and think, oh, it's okay, because there are animals that are fed the right way and they're humanely raised. And so I was like, gave me a hall pass for eating meat. Because I was afraid that like I was hurting animals and myself, more so the animals. I was more worried about the animals. But then, when I got sick, it kind of changed. My focus was more like, I'm on me. I don't care about the animals as much. But knowing that there was a way that they were raised right, then I was like, okay, it's okay to eat them because of this, that. But then over time, when I became carnivore, because that's been my name since like 2012 or so. And when I came carnivore in 2018, I was like, got more interested in the taste of beef and not as much of the way it was raised. And because I had a lot of bad experience with grass-fed beef and stuff, as far as taste, of course, it's always good. And I believe in it and everything. But I just became more focused on having more fat and stuff. And unfortunately, I think is still, even with grass-fed beef, it's like, let's make it as lean as we possibly can. And we cut all the fat off. And it's just really hard. And then I also learned that all cows are grass-fed up to a certain point. And so that was just like, and then they're sent to the feedlot. So it's kind of like, well, all cows are grass-fed. So I was just like, I'm going to keep the name and it's catchy. So I don't focus on it as much as I used to. I still believe, it's doing a great thing. And I wish there could be, they would find a balance with the taste and the fat content and then the animal welfare. So I think it's getting there. I think more and more you're able to find a balance there. And I do buy all different kinds. Like sometimes I go to like 6 grocery stores, and then I go to the farmer's market. Like I was just there the other day and I bought at this little farm store, I bought all this beef. And so, I mean, I just go all over and buy everything now. So.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And in the edit, I'll put some video footage of my local pastures. I don't own them, but where the cows are grazing on the grass, and it's a lovely scene actually. So the final question is, if someone is sitting on the fence about going carnivore, and they came to you and said, right, I'm not sure, like somebody came to you, how would you sell them on the idea of possibly trying carnivore?
Well, I think you have to go to your why first. What is your motivation? Because my motivation has always been not so much weight loss, but I was worried when I learned about autoimmune diseases that they can go in packs, they can travel around your body. I have a stepdad that has MS. So I was just like scared that I would get more and that my health would be worse. And so that's always been kind of my motivation, and worrying about, 10 or 15 pounds or whatever is like, just not going to keep you. I don't think it's going to keep you motivated. So you have to have like a deep inner driver. So, you have to go back to that. What is the reason you're interested in it? Because that thing is still going to be there. And it might get worse. So, I don't like that fear tactic, but for me, it was that, and I'm an older mom, so I want to be as healthy as I can for my baby. So you have to think of whatever that why is for you. And, so really I think the why is the thing that's going to keep you sticking with it. And again, it's not aesthetic that is going to keep you going.
The why that makes you cry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Wow, that was really interesting. I love that guest. Absolutely amazing. If you like stuff like that, don't forget to look at this video next. And while you're at it, look in the description and download the Carnivore Experience app.